River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan here along with Eric. No James today, but Eric, how you doing? Say hello. Muted, sir.
I am. I'm doing great. It's Victory Monday.
Yes, it is. Oh, it's indeed Victory Monday. For once, I didn't mute myself. Well, to kick things off, we have decided to start a new tradition, so to say. Call it a segment tradition, where we will give our 2 cents on how everyone else in the league did. Obviously, the big recap for our game we'll do after. Still, because that's the show. But we've decided to give our little 2 cents on how everyone else is doing. Keep our finger on the pulse on how the rest of the league is going. So. And we'll get James involved on this. He just couldn't be here for this episode, but he will be involved should he be here on a Monday episode again. But yeah, no, Eric, I have. Did you have them in order? Or I don't know. Do you think you could scroll quick to if I just kind of lead the charge on how I got mine written out?
Yeah, just go.
All right, cool.
I'll follow along.
To kick things off, the Cowboys and the Giants on Thursday Night Football. The Cowboys, to me, are the ultimate pretenders. I preach the hardest that divisional games are unpredictable, but the Cowboys should be worried after this win. Also, the Daniel Jones experience needs to come to an end in New York. Prayers are up to Malik Neighbors for that massive faceplant he took, and just hopefully he gets over that and doesn't get another potentially season-ending injury, since he is clearly carrying the load and giving this team any sort of relevance.
Yeah, well, to your point, I think the Daniel Jones experience is over. If I remember correctly, they benched him going into this week. So Drew Lock's going to be the starter when they go to Seattle this coming week. And so there's $40 million that the Giants are flushing down the toilet. Cowboys, they don't appear to be good. I mean, they've got a lot of talent. They're paying Dak and CD $90 million each. And they struggled mightily against the Giants. It's a divisional game, but you've got to put a team like that away if you're going to be a real contender in this league, and they just didn't do it. So I agree with you. They're kind of a pretender right now.
100%. On to the next game. The Saints at Falcons. Thriller to the end. Absolute thriller to the end. Kirk Cousins' grit is unmatched, and the honeymoon period is over for the Saints as the juggernaut has come to a screeching halt. This rivalry personally has just always fascinated me, going back to the Breeze and Ryan days. I always tried to watch all of those. And admittedly, I just had it on in the corner. I didn't quite get to pay attention too much to it, but rewatching the recap of this one, this was the first time I cared in a while who actually won this game. I always assumed they were fun to watch, and the couple I have since Breeze and Ryan both left, we're still entertaining. But yeah, it was nice to see a Saints and Falcons game go to the wire and be as thrilling as the, for me, good old days.
Yeah, the shine that was on the Saints after 2 weeks has certainly worn off at this point in time. They've been exposed a little bit. Kamara, still fantasy stud. He's still combined for 100+ yards rushing and receiving. So that's a solid bet on your parlay if you want to make that bet still. That looks like that's going to hit every week regardless. But that team doesn't seem like they're able to kind of hold it all together. I'm still not 100% sold on either of these teams, really. I don't know that either of them is going to contend for anything beyond winning the division and getting a playoff spot and getting bounced in the first round at this point in time. But that division's probably going to be pretty entertaining throughout the rest of the season as the Bucks, Falcons, and Saints all battle it out while the Panthers just sort of wither away down there in last place.
Couldn't agree more. The NFC South is going to be exciting. All right, so the next game, Rams at Bears. I was wrong on the parlay on this one, and I say that, and I'm not happy to say this because now there's going to be a false sense of optimism with the Bears. I wrote here, the Bears gave the Windy City hope that they can salvage this ship. I don't know. Take this one with a grain of salt. The Rams are pretty beat up. I thought the Rams were going to handle them easily, and it still came down to the wire. But the Rams just gotta, I don't know. The Rams just gotta take this lump and hope they can salvage something. The Bears, just I don't know, man. Yeah, you beat up Rams, but with the way you play the rest of the season, I just don't get your hopes too high after this one.
Yeah, I mean, Rams very hurt, very injured right now. I mean, I think they're doing the best they can with what they've got. I mean, any team that's missing your top two receivers is really going to struggle to make anything happen. So, Stafford is throwing to a hodgepodge of guys that are all, 3s and 4s and 5s. And he's still, making things happen. So good for him. Caleb Williams, his numbers were not good. Threw for 157 yards. Average 6.8 a throw. He didn't throw a pick this week, so I mean that's an improvement, I guess. But he still isn't doing anything that's going to light the world on fire. So this team's ceiling is really capped by his ineptitude and Eberflus's inability to actually coach football.
Yep, indeed. And if they land at 500 at the end of the year, I think Eberflus will be safe, but really I have joined the bandwagon that Eberflus will be the reason this team doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, I need them to be under 500. Strictly for betting purposes.
Yes. All right. Steelers at the Colts. If you need any more evidence that Anthony is the only thing holding this team back, Exhibit A. Flacco proved what I expected. The Colts are ready to get back into the wild card run if only Anthony wasn't so damn raw. For the Steelers, they were humbled, but Tomlin won't let this linger. They will learn to BS their way into the playoffs like they always do. I'm not remotely worried about the Steelers losing this game just because Tomlin's track record is clearly just he will get to 500 and they will get a wild card spot. It's inevitable. And I don't know. I'm not too worried about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting about this game is you plan defensively for one particular guy in Anthony Richardson and his skill set and what he brings, to the offense and what he doesn't bring to the offense, like kind of what you highlighted there at the beginning. And then he gets hurt, super early in the game. And then you turn it over to Joe Flacco and it's a completely different team. It's a completely different game, right? And the Pittsburgh Steelers just weren't really able to prepare for that and shift and adjust to that. So, I mean, I think that's what happened in this particular game. Justin Fields had a really nice day, 312 yards passing, a touchdown. I mean, he ran for 55 more yards. So really complete game from him. Interesting that Michael Pittman Jr. showed up this game now that Flacco was throwing the ball. He's been non-existent with Anthony Richardson throwing the ball. So I think your analysis, Dan, is pretty spot on that Richardson, while he might be the future, he's not the present. And so this Colts team is going to continue to struggle with him under center.
Yeah, the team will live and die with who's at quarterback. I would say Anthony, but now that he's hurt again, I feel like it's a matter of time until Flacco turns back into a pumpkin, kind of like what happened with Cleveland. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think the coach is safe. Maybe Ballard gets fired after this season if it completely falls off the rails. But yeah, same with the Steelers. But I'm not worried about the Steelers. They kind of mounted a comeback and they almost took it away. But they'll be fine. They'll still make the playoffs as a wild card because the Yinzers will burn Pittsburgh down if that doesn't happen. All right, Broncos Jets. All I have for notes on this game is ha 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 ha, and it goes on and on and on for a little bit, and then Aaron Rodgers, 4-time MVP, lost to Bo Nix, throwing only 62 passing yards, and then about another 40 times.
Well, I mean, I think that sums it up.
The weather was terrible, though. I'll give him that. The weather was really bad.
Okay, and I mean, Rodgers has played in about every type of element and type of weather that you could possibly play in, and he's been good in those scenarios before. So, I mean, the two takeaways that I have from this game is Broncos still not good, Bo Nix still not good. He's really bad so far this season. And I don't know. I didn't watch him in college at all, so I don't know anything about the kid. I don't know if he's really just that bad or if it's just a product of him being raw rookie in the NFL, but he's bad so far. And Aaron Rodgers is not Aaron Rodgers of old so far. Aaron Rodgers is the Aaron Rodgers of the rocking chair at this point in time, where he can still spin the ball every now and then, but he's not making magic happen out there. So, is he better than Zach Wilson and the crazy combo of guys that the Jets had last season? Probably, but he doesn't appear to be a whole lot better, which is not going to get the Jets very far this season.
No, the Jets are. I'll reserve pretender for another week. I'll give it another week just because this game was a real kind of. I'll give the Rain a lot of credit for this one, but yeah, their defensive coordinator's not bad either in Denver, but no, I'll withhold one more week before calling the Jets a pretender. I just wanted to laugh that much because I hate Aaron Rodgers as a person.
We can call them a pretender now if you want, because they're going to get waxed by the Vikings next week.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that heads up. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's the league is crazy this year.
I mean, unless it's an absolute renaissance by Aaron Rodgers against an old arch rival in the Vikings, they're going to get pasted.
Oh, I would love to see that. I'm going to try to make that one of my center games next week.
That's a London game, so it's on at 9:30.
Just kidding. I'm going to watch the fourth quarter when I wake up. On to Eagles at Bucks. Baker in the zone makes me so happy. I'm so thrilled that the Bucks, yeah, they had a weird hiccup game with the Broncos last week, but they looked like they were getting back on track. The Eagles are not proving that Sirianni should stick around anymore. Something is wrong when you are this talented and can't stop shooting yourself in the foot. Jalen Hurts is a turnover machine. That defense, again, like the offense, a lot of talented pieces, but it's just not, it doesn't fit. Something's not fitting together in Philly, and it's going to end up costing them some play-up depth, like going deep into the playoffs if they can't figure that out now.
Yeah, the Buccaneers look like they might be legit. I mean, they're 3-1 with a weird fluky loss to the Broncos. Baker's playing really well. He's playing at a high level, and as long as he continues to play at a high level, that team is going to continue to excel because he can make throws, and he can distribute the ball, and he can make good things happen for that team. The problem is that every now and then Baker has kind of a brain fart of a game, and depending on when that happens, it can really cost you. As far as the Eagles are concerned, Saquon has been a great signing for them. He continues to produce every week for them. But he's the only one that's doing anything for them. And I mean, I get that they had AJ Brown and Devonta Smith both out this week. So that was unfortunate. But to your point, they're just kind of collapsing on themselves, and they've been bad. So I don't know what the solution to turning that team around is.
I mean, hey, it might just be firing Sirianni. Like, injuries are one thing, but when you're paying a quarterback that much money and he just can't make it work with the depth guys, he has to lean on Goddard and then just pray that Brown and Smith come back at some point. Like, I don't know, just something. I wish James was here to give a deeper analysis on it, but
yeah,
regardless, on to the commies in the desert facing the Cardinals. All I wrote for this was, all hail Daniels. The only rookie hitting the ground running literally is a sight to behold. The highlights were just incredible. This dude, like, you could argue that, like, well, let's see him face the Vikings. Like, go for it. The way he's been handling, he's not just beating bad teams, he is walloping bad teams. The Cardinals were simply a roadblock in the way for this Rookie of the Year award, and possibly an upset in the wild card round. If they keep going the way they're going to win the NFC East. Like, I know Dan Quinn. The jury's out on when he's going to choke, just because he does, a la the Falcons. But for right now, Washington needs to enjoy this high as long as they can, as long as Daniels keeps doing what he does, because he looks legit. The Commanders actually look like a pretty, I don't know, in 2 weeks, Commanders versus Ravens, I'm going to try to center that game on my TV. I cannot wait to see Daniels go against Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I didn't think highly of the Commanders coming into this season, but Daniels really does look to be the real deal so far at this point. I mean, he's posting something like an 82% completion percentage, which is just absolutely ridiculous through 4 games.
His passer rating is stupid. I can't believe how good he is.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously that's not sustainable, but I mean, it's great for a start. And I mean, having somebody that can play the quarterback position effectively is 3/4 of the battle in the NFL. Looking at their schedule, they've got the Browns next week, then the Ravens game that you mentioned. Then they play Panthers, Bears, Giants, Steelers, Eagles,
Cakewalk
Cowboys,
schedule.
Titans, Saints. So I mean, like, they could be. I mean, let's assume that they lose to the Ravens, but they could be 4-2, so 5, 6, 7. And they could be 7-2 going into that Steelers game in like week 10. I mean, and if they beat the Steelers, they'd be 8-2 going into a double whammy against the Eagles and the Cowboys that would really probably determine the division at that point in time. So, I mean, they're really in control of their own destiny at this point in time. And if they continue to play this well, they're going to win the NFC East, which I don't think anybody would have ever envisioned at this point.
The NFC East never has repeat division champions. Let's just keep that in our mind.
Yep.
On to the Browns at the Raiders. Oh, good God. I put both of these teams out of their misery. Someone had to win. I have literally no other notes. Trade Amari Cooper. The Raiders, Gardner Minshew. I don't know. I barely paid attention to the highlights in this. They were without Max Crosby and Devontae Adams. So, like, what else does the Raiders have at full strength? Even what do the Browns have? I don't know why this. I don't care about this game. I'm sorry. I don't. Someone had to win. Congrats to the Raiders.
Well, being from Ohio, I'm obligated to care about this game a little bit. So what I can tell you is that Stefanski is going to find his ass on the hot seat here pretty fast. If he does not get this team turned around rather quickly, he's going to find himself looking for a new job. And the Browns are going to be stuck with a $100 million, $150 million problem, however many years they've got left on Watson's contract issue, because he is not the solution there in Cleveland. He is not elevating the team. He is not making that team better. He is playing very, very average football at best, and it's costing them games. They haven't scored 20 points in a game yet this season. And he was 24 of 32 for 176 yards last week. You're paying $50 million a year for that? I mean, come on. That's just ridiculous. And their schedule is not going to get any easier. They've got Commanders, Eagles, who I don't know, but the Eagles will probably still beat them. Then they play the Bengals, then they play the Ravens, then they play the Chargers, then they play the Saints, then they play the Steelers. I mean, I don't think they're going to be favored in any of those games.
I think it'll be a blessing in disguise if Stefanski does get ousted by the Browns. Like, he's being asked to make chicken soup out of chicken crap. Like, I think for his career, it'd be better if he ends up being the scapegoat. Like, why can't you make our Deshaun Watson better? I don't know, maybe because this whole organization sold its soul 3 years ago and everyone knows it. Like, I feel bad for Stefanski. I really do. He's clearly too good of a coach for this organization.
I think we're about 2, maybe 3 games away at best from Jameis Winston time.
Feed the W's. Num num num. All right, on to the Chiefs and the Chargers. Patrick literally broke the knee of his number one wide receiver himself, and the Chargers still can't beat their divisional big brother. Literally nothing has changed between these teams, even with Jim Harbaugh in the fold. What else can be said about this? The Chargers try their best, and they just can't beat the Chargers, even when Patrick Mahomes literally broke his number one wide receiver's knee himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's right now Chiefs and Vikings as the only undefeated teams in football. The Seahawks play later tonight, so they need to win to stay undefeated as well. But I mean, the Chiefs, annoyingly enough, just keep finding ways to win. And I think that, with Rice going out, you would like to believe that that's going to hurt the Chiefs. But until I see the Chiefs slow down and fail and not keep just beating teams and finding ways to win, I'm not going to bet against them to be in the playoffs and probably in the stupid Super Bowl again. I mean, they don't lose. I don't understand it, but I mean, their defense is pretty darn good. The offense is always going to be good as long as they have Patrick Mahomes, which sucks. And so I don't know. It's depressing.
Everything about this team should be a pretender, but they're 2-time reigning Super Bowl champions, and we thought they were dead in the water last December, and they won it all. So
yeah,
I have to see it too. It's the Chiefs. What
yeah.
This is the time we live in. All right.
Yeah.
So our final game, Bills at Ravens. For the people in the back, the only thing consistent about the Ravens is inconsistency. They're world beaters one week, bottom of the barrel the next week. I am taking this win with a massive, massive grain of salt because I've seen it happen way too many times in the Lamar Jackson era. When he's healthy, they look amazing one week and then just 180 piece of crap the next week. Cool. The Bills will be happy for this humbling happening this early in the season and on this big of a stage. I think it's going to help them in the long run prepare for the bigger games that they are inevitably going to be in, the way they have been charging through the schedule up to this point. I think they have a firm hold on the AFC East. I think they will still hold on to the AFC East and make it into the playoffs. They just have to take whatever lessons they can from this game in order to break the stigma of they choke in the big moment. If they want to get over that stigma, I don't know. They have to look at themselves in the mirror and not forget how this game felt, because this was a beat down. Like, there's no if, and, or but. It was a beatdown, but it didn't convince me that the Ravens only have the Chiefs to worry about to win the AFC, because I've seen the Ravens choke too many times.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Ravens are very inconsistent. They'll fly high one week and then they're sitting dead on the ground the next. The Bills are not too indifferent to me from the Chiefs, to be honest. I mean, they both have superstar quarterbacks who can do a lot of things and make things happen, make plays off schedule, make any type of throw that you want. I mean, I saw Josh Allen make some sort of throw. Dude was literally running out of bounds and like on a stride/jump out of bounds, threw the ball 50 yards, just all arm to a dot to his receiver downfield. So, I mean, like, when you have that kind of arm talent, you're always going to be in the game. But,
that pass you're talking about was absurd. That was incredible. Yeah. The way that he got that down to, I forgot the name of the guy.
Shakur, I think. But I mean, he's playing with a cast of nobodies at receiver. But I mean, Patrick Mahomes is kind of doing the same thing. So, I mean, like, it's it's just interesting how those two teams are really similar. I agree with you. This division is Buffalo's to run away with. The Dolphins aren't going to do anything. The Jets are not going to do anything. The Patriots are definitely not going to do anything. And so, the Bills are going to have this locked up by like week 14, if not sooner. And then, it's going to be on to them to play for playoff positioning. So.
Oh, 100%. Oh,
Now
I did not mean to have that. I did not mean to have that pulled up already.
You skipped a couple games, just so you know.
Which games did I skip?
You skipped a great one in the Vikings and the Packers. You skipped the bad one in the Bengals and the Panthers, and you skipped the Jaguars and the Texans.
Oh, geez Louise. You do those
so
three then, and
I don't know who's producing this show.
How the hell did I skip those? I can't believe I skipped those. My sincerest apologies.
All right, so Vikings,
yes.
Packers, quite the barn burner. It started off looking like an absolute disaster for the Packers because the Vikings were up 28-0 at one point in time and just blowing the doors off the Packers. But they, kind of let off the gas and let the Packers back into it. But they still managed to pull out the win. Darnold continues to play out of his mind and is playing great. Jordan Love played fantastic coming back from his injury. He continues to still look like the real deal, despite my skepticism about him earlier this season. Vikings are 4-0, and I need about 2 more games from them before I'm willing to consider them a legit contender. So if they beat both the Jets and the Lions in back-to-back weeks, I'm all aboard the Vikings train.
I actually do have a paragraph for Vikings Packers. I don't know how I literally just walked right past it, but the Vikings, it's funny you say they're not yet. The Vikings are legit. Even if they wanted their fans to sweat it out in the end of this game and give Love a comeback win for his return, still, Darnold MVP is real. O'Connell for Coach of the Year is almost a lock. I know it's still really early in the season, but right now it's his award to lose. Darnold for MVP, I'm saying that facetiously. He's still a long way from locking that in, but you can't deny he's been having a hell of a season. But the Packers are going to be okay. Like, the Vikings might end up taking the division, but I think the Packers can continue to regroup the rest of the way that we have these 3 months left, and I think they'll still end up being in a wild card spot. As Love gets healthier too. I'm not worried about the Packers. This was a hell of a game. It was hard to stay focused on the Colts. I was trying to stay focused on the Colts, and then I went to this game, and then I don't know. I just kept, mainly in the second half, because I was trying to watch the Saints, and then I was like, wait, the Packers are coming back?
Yeah.
All right.
Next game would be Bengals and Panthers. The Andy Dalton Revenge Tour unfortunately came to a halt in Carolina. He was not able to beat his former team. The Bengals picked up their first win of the season. Joe Burrow, kind of a pedestrian day, 232, 2 touchdowns. Not too bad, not too great. Chase went for 85 and a touchdown. So, he had a good day as well. The Bengals won. Okay, great. The Panthers were still figuring suck, even though that they have Andy Dalton. They just suck less with Andy Dalton, I think, is the key. So I don't know that this really tells you anything about either team other than the Bengals are good enough to beat somebody that's really, really, really terrible. And the Panthers are still going to kind of yak away games. The Bengals play the Ravens next week. They're going to get smashed in the teeth. Probably. It could be one of those games where, like we just talked about, where the Ravens don't show up, but the Ravens should just pound the tar out of the Bengals next week.
I feel bad for the Panthers. Like, something's poisoned the water in Cincinnati. I did give quite a bit of attention to this game too, because before our parlay died with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
I don't know, that fluky touchdown where the Panthers just didn't tackle Jamar Chase. 2 people had him dead to rights, and he still just ran right past him. They had ample opportunity to actually make this a revenge game and a home upset, which is just an anomaly when that happens. But they they're just not quite there yet. They didn't look totally helpless. I think they may down the road end up surprising people. And the Bengals, I think, are going to surprise people in a bad way. Like, cool, you got to get right game now, but I agree. They do not look ready to handle the Ravens. The Steelers are probably going to give them a headache. Like, they are pretenders. I will go ahead. I don't care we're a month. Yeah, it's month 1, but I don't care. If they get better, I will eat crow. But right now, they look like hardcore pretenders.
Yeah, agreed. Last game on the docket before we get to our game is Texans versus the mighty Jaguars. So the Jaguars fall to a stinky and pathetic 0-4. They have looked like trash all season long. Newly minted 50 millionaire Trevor Lawrence continues to stink mightily, and Doug Peterson is definitely feeling the warmth on his bottom as his seat is exceedingly hot because his team is trash. On the other side of the coin, the Texans, I thought that they would be better this season, and maybe they'll continue to get better. And I say that even though they're 3-1, right? But I kind of thought that they would be sort of kicking people in the teeth a little bit more, if that makes sense. And really, they're kind of just skating by, sort of barely beating teams. Maybe they'll get better as the season went on. This was Stroud's best game, 27 of 40, 345, 2 touchdowns. I need to see more out of them before I'm going to say they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs. Right now, they're going to win this division, obviously, because ain't nobody else in the division any good at all. But that was the easiest bet I made earlier in the season. My gosh, to take them to win the division was like easy money. But I don't see them making a big playoff run unless they get a lot better. They're just kind of inconsistent right now. They don't seem like they're running at full speed, I guess.
The absence of Joe Mixon, I don't want to put it squarely on that, but that's not good if Joe Mixon is the real crux of keeping this offense afloat. Like, that's just kind of I'm not a Texan expert, but that's the one factor that I notice. I also noticed that, of course, it's a division game, and those can get wild. Those are the most unpredictable games. And the Jaguars understood the assignment. Like, this wasn't just a division game for them. This is trying to break the I think 8-game losing streak that they've been on, losing 4 games to close out the season and miss the playoffs. And now they've lost 4 to start the season. I don't know if Doug Peterson's going to make it to Christmas. I don't know if the Jaguars are probably going to have like some buyer's remorse, like if they don't already. So just Christian Kirk is on the trade block, which would definitely not help the situation. Like, if you're trying to make it better, I'm sure the Texans. I just don't have that much to say about the Texans because they found the way to win, and Ryans is a great coach. They're going to be fine. Jacksonville, we're about to witness a massive tailspin that I think might end with Doug Peterson getting fired.
Yeah, I mean, he looks to be as good as gone at this point in time, unless the Jaguars turn it around real fast.
Yeah, it's not good in Jacksonville at all. Like, I don't know. I feel bad for Doug. I don't really have anything against him. He seems like a good guy, but I don't know. Something about his leadership is just not inspiring Trevor. Like, Trevor he looks like a guy that needs to go have a retreat for a little bit and find himself and then come back. Like, something, I think it's something up here. Like, some, even though he got the contract, it seems like his confidence just isn't showing on the field. Like, he knows it's almost like he's making himself play with his hand tied behind his back. Almost, it seems like. I don't know. That's what I took away from the game.
Yeah. Well, on to the most important game of the week.
Yes, our game. A game that I have copious amount of notes on versus that Jaguars game. Now I can pull up the nerdy number stuff. Here we go. I'll just rattle off these real quick.
Sure.
Let's see here, because I always like to do the nerdy numbers. Brock Purdy, he did not end the game with a great quarterback rating. It was I'd like to round it up to 90, even though it's technically 89.7. He threw a pick, a very stupid pick, I might add. And his completion percentage wasn't that great. 15 and 27 for 228. And nope, he didn't cross over 300, only 11 rushing yards. Jordan Mason, luckily, though, he had, oh, good Lord, he had 123 on the ground and a tutty, and he had 37 receiving. So that put him over 160 total yards. Absolute stud. Receiving wise, we once again spread the ball out. Look at that. 4 receivers over 40 yards. Like, yeah, I'm sure you have something to say about Brandon Ayuk only turning 2 catches into 48 yards, but I see some pretty interesting distribution, and I have some thoughts about how we played the passing game in general with this game. Once again, fumbles are an issue. Special teams, a big issue. Isaac Rendo lost a fumble on a kick return because, of course, he did. Brock Purdy didn't lose either of his fumbles, but thank God he caught the ones that he did. He's having a little bit of butterfingers every now and then, I've noticed. But luckily, on the other side, we were playing the Patriots, and we beat them 30-13. I didn't say that. But Jacoby Brissett held under 200 passing yards, 1 pick, 1 tutty, 6, count them, 6 sacks. We held the Patriots team as a whole under 100 rushing yards. Ramondre Stevens, 43 yards. And then Antonio Gibson, I forgot, was on the team. He only had 12 yards. And Jamichael Hasty, also pathetic. Nothing remotely good in the receiving game. Antonio Gibson was their best receiver, a running back, if I need to even say anything else. Every other receiver was held under 40 yards just because, again, Jacoby was, I don't even know what his pressure rate was, but we hit him 6 times, so the pressure rate was probably pretty bad. And he lost 1 of his 3 fumbles. Nick Bosa did that, by the way. So, yeah, overall, this game, I guess my little 60-second like we just did on this game was, while I was watching the game, it felt like it should have been worse. Like, it felt like, I don't know if it felt like we were trying to treat this like a preseason game and just kind of try out some things, because we did a lot more deep shots. We didn't really play a normal game plan outside of the run game. Like, I noticed whenever we did pass, like, credit to the Patriots secondary, they honed in on trying to take away the middle, but that just meant we got to play airball with them, and we hit on more times than we didn't, luckily. But yeah, I don't know. Things just seemed out of rhythm on offense. We were bad in the red zone again. The defense, really the whole season, the defense has been more consistent. I'll take that back. The defense showed up in this game. Like, we did suffocate the Patriots defensively. Fred Warner had a pick 6. Demo had some good pass breakups. We had 6 sacks. Number 91, I'm just going to call him O. I love 91. That dude really caught my attention yesterday. And hopefully Fred Warner's ankle injury is not that bad. I feel like they had to have just kept him out because it was like, dude, it's the Patriots. You're just stay away. You're fine.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, I don't know. Like, as much as in the moment I was thinking that, like, man, this should be a lot worse. Looking at the numbers and sleeping on it, I mean, yeah, it was, what did we need to do for this to be a get right game? We held them to 1 offensive touchdown, and we dominated them on defense, and Purdy did just fine. Jordan Mason still looks like arguably one of the best running backs in the league, up there with Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. We didn't have to, I argue we passed the ball around just fine, so we didn't have to lean on one guy. I think that has its positives as well as its downsides. But no, we didn't have any problems with this team. Just because we didn't beat the tar out of them, like, in the eye test for me, it's still a 30-13 win. It's a lot of teams didn't get to have that this week. So I don't know. I thought we could have done better, but at the same time, looking at it like, you know what? Like, nah, we didn't. We did fine. Like, stop being a sourpuss. We did fine.
Yeah, I mean, this game went how I had hoped and how I had expected it to go. I was fearful of something other than what we saw on Sunday, but we got what should have occurred. The 49ers, a superior and much more talented team on both sides of the ball, beat up on a team that just sucks. I mean, the Patriots right now are not good. They're bad on both sides of the ball. And when you have a team like the 49ers that have the talent that they do, you're facing a unbelievable uphill battle to try to pull off a victory. And, the Patriots just were not able to do that. And that was what I was expecting. So I got what I expected out of this game. So wasn't disappointed there. We were texting during the game. I was a little disappointed in the first two drives stalling out in the red zone. That continues to be a problem for this team. They don't seem to be able
we can't
to.
red zone. We just can't
No,
red zone.
no. I mean, we move the ball, from our side of the field all the way down, and then we get inside of the 20, and then just dumb stuff happens, and we can't put the ball in the end zone. And that's going to continue to be a problem. I should look up their red zone percentage for the season. I'll do that as we talk later. But it can't be very good. They're leaving a lot of points on the board, and against better teams, that's going to cost them. So I'd like to see them improve on that. I mean, I know every team isn't perfect. You're not going to score a touchdown every time you get into the red zone, but it just feels like the 49ers are leaving a lot of possessions, there like that. It was good to see the defensive line to get. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, we have a four-headed passing attack. We have Jordan Mason, who has proven and in this game, he proved he can finally catch passes too, because he wasn't really doing that up to this point. But Jordan Mason can run as good as CMC. Juwan Jennings had a coming out party. He had some moss catches in this game too. Like, he's a legit, I don't know, I don't want to give him a 1C and say Debo's 1A, Brandon's 1B, and Juwan's 1C. We have four legit pass catchers. We have legitimate tape on four guys, including Kittle. There's no reason we should be this bad in the red zone.
No, I mean, you're making my point for me. Exactly. I mean, there are so many ways that we can distribute the ball and make things happen. There's really no reason for us to struggle in the red zone the way that we do. I don't really understand what's causing those problems. To your point on Jennings, he had another really good game, played very well. He continues to show out and show up for the 49ers. I'd argue that over the first probably 4 weeks of the season, he's been the most consistent 49ers receiver that we've had. And he's playing his best ball of his career this particular season. So I'm glad that we paid him.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing because we've needed him, because everybody else has either been hurt or not playing to their potential. So, I mean, Debo missed a game and a half, or no, just missed a game being hurt. It was good to see Debo back, but, he didn't really have too much of an impact. And then Ayuk continues to be invisible for most of the game. So, I mean, I don't really know what. I'm very curious to see what happens when we play somebody else who is very good defensively. I mean, so we played the Vikings already, and that didn't go very well. We're going to play the Cardinals next week. They're not very good defensively, so shouldn't probably be too big of an issue there. But when we play the Seahawks, when we play the Chiefs, when we play the Cowboys, like that stretch of 3 games right there, those teams all have secondaries that can cover. And I'm going to be really interested to see what happens to our receiving group when they are faced with another team that can actually really cover. Like, who's going to step up? We need 2 guys to step up. It can't just be one. We need 2 guys to step up. Tell me what 2 guys are going to step up and be the receiver for Purdy and help him get the ball down the field, help him move the chains, help him do things. It can't be Juwan all the time. It's got to be Debo, Ayuk, or Kittle. a semblance of them. I mean, those combined guys make like almost $70 million. So I mean, some of them have got to start stepping up. I mean, Kittle was fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, 4 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown. He's averaging literally 40 yards a game at this point in time.
His touchdown catch was amazing in triple coverage.
Yeah, his touchdown catch was great. I mean, I'm not so sure that Brock really should have thrown that ball, but I mean, his touchdown catch was great, but I need more than 45 yards out of Kittle. I mean, we need more production. I don't know how to make that happen. I don't know how to grease the wheels to generate more of that. I mean, Brock only completed 15 passes, so I mean, I guess that's on him too. I guess I'd like to see how many of those were drops, or go back and review the tape and see how many were off-target throws and things of that nature too. But I mean, it's just, we've got to start making more happen with our receivers, because we're just going to really struggle against some of these better teams that have the ability to cover our guys if we're not getting the kind of play from our receivers that we're paying for in this league. So still super impressed with Jordan Mason. He has been an absolute godsend for us in terms of being a backup and a replacement for CMC. Don't want to wish an injury on anybody, but Elijah Mitchell being injured has been probably one of the best things that's happened to the 49ers this season, because it allowed Mason to hop into that backup role and now take over as the lead back during this time. And he's been absolutely great. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that he is exactly the same as CMC and that we're not, missing something still, but I mean, he's just been fantastic. I mean, he's busting off long runs. He's busting off short runs. He's busting off tough runs. I mean, he's scoring touchdowns every week almost. I mean, he's just been great. I mean, he's been a revelation back there. And so that's been a really big find for us as a team, because if we didn't have him, I don't know what we would do, because Isaac Guerrero has been atrocious. Every time he touches the ball, he just runs into the line of people and falls down. So, and then, when we've put Debo back there to run, he's doing okay. But he hasn't generated kind of like those big runs that he had generated a couple of years ago. So, I thought Brock played well. I guess his numbers don't really reflect that from a completion percentage, but he was making really. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I have a note, because I didn't dive as deep into like the post game stuff as I usually do. But I did see Brock in his presser talk about how, and I also confirmed it with my Patriots consultant, our Patriots reporter. Their secondary is honestly not bad, and their secondary played a lot of man, as Purdy explained. They played a lot of man versus zone. So some of those throws, like how I said earlier, that like they honed in and man and tried to take away the middle. That's why we bombed way more in this game than we had up to this point. And that's why a handful of those tosses that he did try over the middle were just dropped or broken up. Like Gonzalez was flying around the field. Gonzalez was really, really good, all things considered.
Yeah.
And then Peppers had that pick on that. Purdy admitted he threw that ball way, way, way too late to Brandon when Peppers picked him off. That was just a very bad throw. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, numbers wise, like, it looks worse than it was, because that's still 288 passing yards. Like, it was a lot of big risk, big reward, and we hit more of them than we didn't. But you see 15 to 27. Yeah, he did miss a few. There was a lot of really tight man coverage if he tried to go over the middle. So that's why we bombed a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was just going to say that. I mean, 288 yards. I mean, that's a really good day throwing the ball. He averaged 10 yards, throwing the ball, 1 touchdown. He only got sacked 1 time. I was a little disappointed. He was under duress quite a few times, which is bothersome because, again, New England's defense is not very good. And the fact that he was having to sort of scramble around and make some things happen back there is a bit worrisome because I'm a little frightened what happens when we play a team that actually does have a good defensive line. But I still love the way that Brock pushes the ball down the field. He's not afraid to let it rip. My chest still sort of like that. My heart jumps a little bit every time he rips the ball because I'm still used to the Jimmy G experience. And every time he threw the ball more than 5 yards down the field. Yeah, I do. I have Jimmy PTSD because Lord knows every time Garoppolo threw the ball more than 5 yards down the field, you were just like, oh shit, I have no idea where it's going. Right. I mean, like, could be going to my guy, could be going to their guy, could be going 10 feet in the air over everybody. I mean, like, who knows where it's going, right? So, I mean, my heart still just kind of thumps a little bit whenever Brock lets one rip. I'm just like, oh, God, where's it going? But
Purdy's done that to me a couple times where clearly that window, he was praying it opened up and it didn't.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate the balls he has to try and make them because he does hit a lot of them. But when it misses, oh, he misses bad.
Yeah. But I mean, at least he lets it rip. And like you said, most of the time he connects. And I mean, he flings it down there and we're making explosive plays happen in the passing game. So, I mean, if you look at our longs, I mean, we had a 45, a 53, a 38, a 24. So, I mean, like, we hit people for, I don't know if this is run after the catch or whatever, but I mean, we hit people for big passing plays. So, I mean, we are making some big things happen in the passing game still. So, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to be overly critical of this particular game, everything, but I still just think the red zone failures are an issue. And I think that I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm just old school in the sense that, like, if I've got a number one receiver like Brandon Ayuk and he is supposed to be the number one guy, then I want to see number one performance out of that guy. I come from an era, I'm older than you, right? But, I come from an era when the number one guy performed like the number one guy week in, week out, week in, week out. Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, those guys, they were number one receivers and they showed up. Tim Brown, I mean, like, I'm really dating myself, but Terrell Owens, even Ocho Cinco. I mean, those guys showed up week after week after week. You didn't stop them. You know what I mean? Like, you just knew they were going to get their receptions. You knew they were going to get their yards. And it was a matter of kind of slowing everybody else down and maybe trying to contain them a little bit. And right now, Ayuk's just kind of running around a bunch and just not really affecting the game. So I don't know. And before I forget, big ups to Fred Warner. He is on track to be Defensive Player of the Year.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Did Warner, and I want to shout out Demo. Demo's going to get paid. I don't think it'll be by us the way he's playing unless he takes a team-friendly deal. But Warner definitely needs to be up there with TJ Watt and a handful of other guys. Hutchinson. Hutchinson's actually going to be playing in 30 minutes. So we'll see how many more sacks he can get. But Warner's just a freak. He's a freak of nature. It's disgusting.
Yeah, Warner has been absolutely amazing so far this season. Warner's already got 27 tackles. Warner's already got 27 tackles, a sack, 3 forced fumbles, 2 picks, and a touchdown, and 4 passes defended, and 2.5 stuffs. I didn't even know stuffs was a stat, but he's got 2.5 of them.
I wonder what that is. I can't think of what a stuff is.
Must be when you tackle somebody behind the. Well, I would think that would be tackle for a loss, right? Like that's a stat in itself. I don't know. He's got 2.5
TFL.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, whatever
he's
that
got
is.
2.5 of them. So by golly,
dude, he's got those are stupid numbers for a month. That's ridiculous. If anything else, he'll be the best linebacker in the league the way he's playing right now. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that ankle injury. But yeah, no, I guess to put a bow on this because we're getting closer to our time. I agree. There's definitely some room for improvement. Special teams, we're still shooting ourselves in the foot there. Defense.
Oh God, we didn't even talk about special teams.
We
Oh,
don't have to. We had a fumble again.
Please don't make me.
Good God. I like I was telling our Patriots correspondent, our punter and kicker are fine. It's everyone else that's bad.
Yeah.
Our returners are bad, our coverage is bad. Yeah, that I knew that was coming.
That's my betting alarm. I've got bets that I usually have to place at 8:00.
That's funny. But yeah, anyway, I agree. We're pretty much out of time, but I guess we'll try to squeeze in a little bit of Cardinals insight when we make our parlay on Friday. But yeah, we got to talk about our sponsor now, guys. It is RoyalRetros.com. What is Royal Retros? It is your go-to place to get yourself an authentic throwback jersey. Whether you're a fan of football or any of the other major sports, basketball, baseball, soccer, they got you covered. When you find something you like, especially when you check out the Candlestick Park collection that's curated with the Bay Area in mind. Then, after you've checked that out and find something that you like, use the promo code Shady Sports and that'll get you 10% off of your entire order. Again, it's promo code Shady Sports for 10% off of your entire order at RoyalRetros.com. It helps us out. It helps out our EPs at Shady Sports Network. Again, promo code Shady Sports for 10% off your order at RoyalRetros.com. Go get yourself an authentic throwback jersey today. Of course, as always, I have to remind you all that we are selling shirts for charity. If I can find our little banner, which I seem to... There it is. That was weird. I lost it for a sec. Anyway, guys, we were inspired by 2 years ago, Dan Snyder, and now we are continuing to see owners like Tepper and some questionable behavior from, like, say, Jim Irsay or that Texans minority owner who got in trouble in Kentucky. We're still seeing a lack of accountability when it comes to the owners. So we are carrying on the crusade that owner standards need to be higher than player standards. Hashtag owner accountability. And to put our money where our mouth is, we have created t-shirts that, again, we are selling for charity, and the proceeds are going to be going to Mountain Comprehensive Care Center. It is a shelter in Kentucky to help women who have been in abusive situations. Again, all the proceeds will be going to them, and a link with more information to them is in the show notes if you want to just look into them in general. The shirts, though, this one is our standard logo shirt. Owner standards over player standards. Hashtag owner accountability. This one has the most variety of colors. And as with all the shirts I'm about to show you, they come in all different styles. Long sleeve, unisex t-shirt, pullover hoodie, crew neck sweatshirt. Pricing starts at $22.99. And again, the proceeds will go to Mountain Comprehensive Care Center. The next shirt is our cover art. Whatever wonderful podcasting platform you listen to us on, this is that cover art. Now you can wear it on a shirt. If you like that, you go ahead and get it there at bonfire.com. This one we call the alternate logo. It's got a cross beam and a couple flying peanuts on there. It turned out wonderful when James ordered this shirt. The fabric was wonderful. The print was nice. And it has not faded away, not unlike some shirts I've ordered from other some other websites. So great quality there. And then our last shirt is a peanut eating a bowl of peanuts with his 3D glasses. Don't ask. And he's wearing his Niners hat, quietly, patiently awaiting the kickoff against the Arizona Cardinals. Actually at 4:00 instead of 4:30, if I remember right. And it looks like it'll be the game of the week too. But anyway, that t-shirt is there as well. All four of those t-shirts, again, at bonfire.com. Proceeds going to Mountain Comprehensive Care Center. Look for all the information in the show notes. Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a 4:00 kickoff, I believe, unless you can correct me on that.
No,
I don't think I have that right. Okay. And we don't know the announcers yet. It's way too early for that to happen. But if it is the game of the week, it's going to be Tom Brady and Kevin. Is that his partner's name? I can't remember.
Yeah, Kevin Burkhardt.
Okay, Kevin. I thought Kevin was with Al Michaels for some reason. I get them mixed up.
No.
But yeah, if it is the game of the week, which would be weird. But then again, Tom Brady did a 1:00 game this week, so what do I know?
Yeah.
But yeah, kickoff for that on Fox, 4:00, hosting the Cardinals. Thank God we're hosting them for the first time. Jesus Christ. Did you check? Did your phone blow up with this particular news?
Yes, I was going
Oh,
to cover that as our closing segment.
yeah, nope. I've gotten in the habit of passing it off to you, but we both have the same story here.
Yeah.
We're a football podcast, but when a legend of any sport as big as Pete Rose was comes up in our feed, particularly right now for a live reaction, yeah, that sucks. Pete Rose has passed away, everybody. That that sucks. I mean, he lived a great life and obviously left a mark in baseball that will just probably never be matched, but in his history, obviously we don't have time to get into all of his history, but
A
wow,
very
damn.
long and complicated story.
Yeah, no, damn. Didn't he just have an HBO documentary series come out about him?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look.
I could have swore it was a Pete Rose documentary on HBO, but no, damn, that really sucks. I don't know. You're more of the baseball, James too. I don't know. You have fond memories of watching Pete Rose?
I mean, I do actually. I mean, my dad was a huge baseball fan, and so I grew up watching a lot of baseball. And he played for Cincinnati, and so that was one of the teams that we obviously got to watch on TV a lot, living in Ohio. And so I got to see Pete Rose play, and Dad would always point him out to me and be like, watch this guy, watch this guy. This guy knows how to play baseball. This guy is how you play the game. And would point out to me, just and we would just watch, and we would just marvel at how he would play the game and the things that he would do on the field. And I remember watching when he broke the hit record and everything like that. And because my dad was like, come in, you gotta watch this, game. And we watched him break the hit record together. And so I remember all of that stuff. And his mark on the game, both positive and negative, is pretty immeasurable. He was the engine that made those Big Red Machine teams run back in the day. And then, he was a great manager for those Reds teams in the 80s and the 90s. And then obviously, the whole scandal with whether he did or did not bet on baseball, which we're pretty positive that he did.
Yeah,
but
and there is a documentary. It's called Charlie Hustle and the Matter of Pete Rose.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's a 4-hour long episode, so it's like a mini series.
Oh, nice. So it's kind of, I don't know. Maybe he'll get into Cooperstown now that he's passed away. Maybe post. I don't know, what is that word? Post. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. Yes, thank you. sometimes English is not so good for me. Maybe they'll. English? Yeah, I think so. I almost did once or twice. Maybe they'll let him in now that he's passed away, and he can't really, bask in the accolades, and he can't make any money off of the merchandising of being, part of the Hall of Fame and all of that stuff. So, now it's just going to be, here's your plaque and you're in, and, here's your legacy and here's what you mean to the game. And maybe they'll do that now. I don't know, but he really did mean a lot. And, it's sad, but no, what can you do?
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, we're a little over. I'm gonna go more on Pete Rose now. But yeah, we'll be back on Friday.
Don't forget, we lost Dikembe as well today.
Oh my God, yeah, that today sucked for sports.
Yeah, he was an icon. He was an icon of the '90s too, man. I mean, there was no better shot blocker back in the day than Dikembe.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was great stuff.
But yeah, we got to get out of here. We'll be back on Friday with our parlay episode. And outro music is River Road by Justin Muth. We'll catch you all on Friday. Let's beat the Cardinals.
Later. Yep.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love the way